Finance Committee meeting and will be leading the many meetings that will occur after we present the budget here this morning, and Owusu Anani. And I also want to thank those that are joining us online as we stream, including our Majority Leader, Ginny Farrell, who I know is with us online. I also want to welcome fellow elected officials, Dorcia Pleers, our Chief City Auditor, Darius Shanfar, and all of our various chiefs, commissioners, and department heads who help make the city work for our residents every day. So I always like to start by reminding us that we are here, and this budget is about ensuring that we are able to support our community, to build a safe, healthy, and economically vibrant community across the city of Albany. This budget encompasses a number of the goals and objectives that have been stated by the Common Council and the recommendations that they have made throughout this year, including in one-on-one meetings that I held with our Common Council members to ensure that this budget reflected what they were hearing from the community. So you are going to hear, and I want to thank those who attended my State of the City and took this awesome selfie. I know there are some who aren't on here, but I love this picture, and I think it really captures the spirit of the Common Council. So this budget is going to include the continuation of the mental health street treatment program, now called Albany Navigates, that we budgeted for and talked about last year. It includes and continues to invest in speed humps, the school zone speed cameras. We're making playground investments, street repaving, garbage can inventory and expansion, more civilian posts in the APD, making the Palmieri Sports Complex more available to our residents. I know that that is critically important and that there have been questions about that, and also helping our residents to navigate housing challenges. And those are just a few of the objectives that we are reaching with this budget. I want to start, though, with an economic outlook. So inflation is down. It's about 3.4%, still above the Fed target of 2%. We are experiencing an unemployment rate that has remained relatively fixed at 4%. It's essentially the same as it has been since 2022. 45,000 residents of the city of Albany were employed as of July of this year, and our poverty rate continues to go down. We've lifted over 3,400 people out of poverty over the course of time that I've been in office. And over the last, even with this good news, we still have some financial vulnerabilities. So we want to ensure that we are taking those into consideration as best as we can in the budget based on what we know today. That includes the fact that we do not know who will be leading this nation in 2025. And that will have a direct impact, as we have seen a huge difference under the former administration of funding that was available to cities compared to the current Biden-Harris administration. We also have seen new developments slowing in the city, which will continue to drive up demand and therefore the costs of housing, and continue to hamstring our efforts to grow our tax base. And so that is an issue that continues to plague us. I know that we have differences with the council as to what's causing that, but it's certainly something that we need to roll up our sleeves and work on together. Interest rates are declining, but remain significantly elevated compared to where they've been in the prior years prior to COVID, 20 years prior to COVID. The pool of available workforce continues to shrink as baby boomers continue to retire, and that is going to have an impact. And then we also see what happens just on a daily basis. Today we learned that there are strikes at ports across the country. That's going to impact supply chain. We've had a weather catastrophe happening down in the southeast of this country, and our hearts go out to those who are impacted by that. And we know that that is going to have a ripple effect on the economy. So that is why I stress that this is a plan, but we need to continue to remain agile and work together when we are faced with other challenges that will come our way. So our budget proposed for 2025 is $221 million. That's a nearly $5 million reduction from last year, and that is caused mainly by the fact that the $81 million that we received from the American Rescue Plan was pretty much fully funded and fully budgeted last year so that we could meet the mandate of the federal government that we had to identify ways of utilizing that money by the end of this year. So we are back to what our residents will probably see as a more stable budget going forward, absent some additional plan like the American Rescue Plan. We're projecting from a revenue side that our state aid will be up nearly $2 million. About $1.5 million of that is because of the increase for the first time in 15 years of aid to incentives for municipalities, or AIM. That is something that, as you know, as president of the New York Conference of Mayors last year, I fought very hard for. I'm proud that we were able to get it across the finish line. It means that cities like Albany, and actually cities across the state, will have more funding for those essential things that we deliver every day, like police, fire, our Department of General Services, really making sure that we're able to keep up with repairing our streets, sidewalks, and parks. We are also requesting an increase in our capital city funding that is consistent with what we asked for last year, and I'll walk through that formula in a little while. We are projecting that sales tax revenue will be up about $1.3 million as the recovery continues. So let's get to property taxes, rip off the Band-Aid. Property taxes have increased about 1% annually since 2016, so significantly below the inflation rate. And in 2025, we are proposing to raise our tax levy within the 2% property tax levy. So when we think about what happened over this last year, we had a major revaluation, and so residents still have some confusion about what this is going to mean for their tax bill. So let's start first of all with our rate. That's what we charge per $1,000 of value in property. As you know, we did a tax revaluation, so the value of property went up across the board. What that has allowed us to do is actually reduce the rate per $1,000 that we are charging, because we have more value. Our tax levy remains, as I said, consistent, actually below inflation, going up less than that 2%. And so we are actually reducing the rate per $1,000 that we are charging our residents and our businesses. But what does that mean for a property owner? So these are actually 4 real properties that exist in the city of Albany. I'm going to start with a home in the 3rd Ward that saw a 41% increase in their value. When that individual got that notice in the mail, they probably were really worried about what the impact was going to be on their property taxes. They saw the value of their home go from $125,000 to $176,000. But because the average assessment increase across the city was roughly 60%, this individual is actually going to see a 12% reduction in their taxes, their city property taxes, compared to last year. So their bill is going to go down by about $176. Now, for this 6th Ward homeowner that saw their property value go from $411,000 to $749,000, they are going to see a tax increase. They are going to see their tax bill go up by about $660 for the entire year. Same with this individual in the 8th Ward. Their property went up about 70%. Their tax bill is going to go up about $100. And again, in part, that's because of the increase in the assessed value. It's also because we were raising the levy slightly. In the 9th Ward, someone who saw their property value increase by $100,000 is actually going to see their bill go down by about $117. So as we roll this out and as we talk, and I'm sure there'll be more questions that you will have regarding this in the budget meetings, this is the impact of a combination of the increase in assessed values, the reduction in the actual tax rate, and the increase in our tax levy that we are proposing for this budget. So how are we spending this funding? Most of it is being spent on people. Wages and benefits are up about $3.2 million. I'm happy to report that actually retiree health care is down. This is due to the city renegotiating its pharmacy benefit contract, which is going to save taxpayers about $3.5 million annually. I want to give a shout out to Anne Marie Salmon and our Department of Administrative Services for delivering this savings, which also helps us to ensure that we're allocating funding on other important policy issues that really matter to our residents. We are continuing to invest in our workforce. This budget recognizes that we have settled 10 out of our 12 bargaining unit agreements, including all of our police and fire units for the first time in recent memory. Since 2022, wages have increased 11%, again, with the pressures that we've seen on inflation and with the hard work that we did with the council, finally getting a salary study done, finally looking at bringing equity to our wages. We are seeing that we are able to now be more competitive in attracting workforce and retaining workforce. So this is a roughly 3.5% increase over time, which is on target with inflation. The living wage in the city of Albany has gone from $15.52 in 2021 to almost $19 an hour with this budget. And again, that living wage initiative is a council initiative that mandates that we calculate a living wage and that we ensure that that is the minimum that folks earn here in the city of Albany. We are also increasing our investment in training and workforce development organization-wide. Our capital plan is a bold plan. I'm going to dive into this a bit more as we move forward, but as you know, we are off and running on our rebuilding of the Lincoln Park Pool, Albany West and Albany South community centers. We also are receiving federal funding for tearing down the towers, which is an important next step in revitalizing the South End. This includes investments in beautifying the Corning Preserve gateways, really transforming and continuing to revitalize the city. And again, while not glamorous, this budget, this capital plan invests in essential equipment that our police department, our fire department, and our general services departments need to deliver the services our residents expect. And one of the reasons that the capital plan is so robust is because we have been able to get an unprecedented level of funding sources from grants and from the feds and our state partners. So we have in this budget $10 million for roads that are coming from state and federal sources, $11 million for recreation facilities, including the $10 million New York Swims grant that we received from Governor Hochul, a huge investment in the city of Albany for a facility that I don't know if she'll be able to actually see it from the governor's mansion, but certainly given its proximity, I hope that we can attract her to the ribbon cutting because that investment is helping to make it possible. And it also includes nearly $2 million in investments from Governor Hochul in public safety for our gun violence elimination program. So in looking at the investment in public safety, we continue to ensure that we are making those investments and providing the resources that the police department needs to continue to drive down crime. Thanks to Governor Hochul's investment in the largest crime analysis center, which is located right at our APT headquarters, we continue to see a reduction in crime. I want to continue to stress that crime is down. 15% reduction in shots fired, a 29% reduction in homicides, a 15% reduction in property crimes, plus we are seeing a 54% increase in the number of illegal guns recovered so far this year, and that's building on 2 previous years that were also record years. And we know that one crime, any crime, is one crime too many. So this budget ensures that APD continues to have the resources available so that it can continue to do the outstanding work that it does every day, finding people who are committing violent crimes and arresting them and holding them accountable. Part of the investment includes 5 non-sworn positions within the police department that will allow us to remove the administrative tasks that are currently being performed by sworn officers and get those sworn officers out into our community. And like cities across the country, Albany is dealing with a growing number of unhoused and unstably housed people who are suffering from mental illness and substance use disorders. Our first responders are on the front line of this. They are the ones responding to those calls for aggressive panhandling, shoplifting, property damage, quality of life concerns, open drug use, overdoses. They are truly on the front lines. And it is an almost daily occurrence that we transport an individual, whether it's a police officer or our fire department, to the emergency room only to see that individual back out on the streets, sometimes hours later, and still in crisis. So to be clear, the responsibility for this health crisis lies with the state and outside of New York City, the 57 counties that administer billions of dollars in state and federal funds meant to provide a safety net for those in need and for people in crisis. Within Albany County, many of those services are provided within the city of Albany. So we have individuals coming into the city to seek those services that are, again, administered by the county. We know that we are disproportionately impacted by this crisis, which is why we are working with the county to ensure that those services and those who are experiencing crises on our streets are a priority and that they get the help that they need where they need it. So this budget continues to provide virtually all of our opioid settlement funds to the county to operate a program called Albany Navigates in partnership with Albany County and CARES of New York. The project was launched this June, and we've already seen more than 300 encounters, nearly 200 new admissions. The case managers have made 70 housing referrals and 32 enrollments. But this is a very challenging problem for us to tackle, and we all need to do it together. This is a healthcare crisis, which is why I don't lump it in with public safety. We have to stop laying this problem at the feet of our police officers and our first responders at the fire department. And I will continue to ensure that I am working collaboratively with those who have these resources to make sure that they are being spent in our community in a way that is moving the needle and helping people get the help that they need, and make sure that the quality of life in our community doesn't continue to be disproportionately impacted by this crisis. I have said to a number of the council members, though, who want us to do more, if you were to give me $1 million of additional money to fund this program, we would, in all likelihood, not be able to spend it because we have a huge challenge in finding qualified case managers, nurse practitioners, and those who need to be out in the community doing this work. So let's be patient. Let's continue to make this investment. Let's continue to ensure that we're looking everywhere and that we're training folks to do this. But we have to be realistic, and I have to be very straightforward with setting our residents' expectations. This is not just a funding problem. This is a people problem, having enough people qualified and trained to do this very difficult work. So we are, as I said, investing in world-class resources. I am so excited about the investments that we are making in the South End, West Hill, with our community centers, and the fact that we are going to have a brand new Lincoln Park pool for the next century, community centers that are going to allow our community to come together and not only be in community together, but have that safe space where we can talk about the opportunities, the challenges, and the future of our city. This plan also invests nearly $2 million in our parks across the city. This cycle, we're looking at the Corning Preserve, Pitch Pine Park, Shaker Park, plus the construction of a new state-of-the-art playground on our crown jewel, Washington Park. Making a shameless plug to the state, we do have a CFA application in for that, and that would help tremendously in being able to move that project forward. We have already started this important work and with our infrastructure in keeping our residents safe. This is about investing not just in streets and sidewalks, but ensuring that we're investing in the safety of everyone on our streets, including pedestrians, bicyclists, and that is why we launched our new school zone speed camera program. It's designed to enforce the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit across the 20 school zones in Albany. This is something that our residents advocated for, and I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to deploy that. It took a lot of hard work. I want to thank our partners in state government for passing the legislation that allowed us to move forward with this. I want to thank Deb Zamer and the rest of the council for their advocacy on a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We've been able to implement that a year ahead of what I had promised, and so that new speed limit will be going into effect in January of this coming year. And this budget continues the realignment of our new city engineering department. From design to construction, all of our streets will be managed by our city engineer. Traffic engineering is located under our city engineer, and we're really seeing the benefits of that partnership. Of course, the Department of General Services and the Water Department are huge, important partners in that. But we really wanted to ensure that we had a place where our bike, pedestrian, and ADA plans for this city could be focused and could be advocated for and would allow us to continue to see traffic calming, bicycle infrastructure, and pedestrian safety in every project that we do. So with respect to our investment of the ARPA funding, so far $12.6 million of the $25 million that was granted across the city has been spent. And we have seen transformative projects from small business grants to new affordable home ownership opportunities, new affordable apartments, aiding refugees and migrant families who need services in order to establish themselves and be successful in our city. We've supported over 630 residents in navigating them through housing challenges, food insecurity, financial insecurity, and we have created 30,000 square feet purchased for our community center, for a new center, for the South End Children's Cafe, all of these transformative, and we're going to continue to bear the benefits of these for years to come. So that takes us to our uniquely Albany problem. As we have said every year, over 64% of our property in the city of Albany is tax exempt. The state owns $6.5 billion worth of that real property, and the state and its authorities own more than the entire tax base of the city, when you think about that, right? More than the entire taxable base in the city of Albany. So this creates challenges, and we are going to request again that the state solve this problem once and for all. I have to first start by saying that Governor Hochul is the first governor to recognize that this is a problem. She is the first governor to put in her budget capital city funding. And so we are very grateful for that. And we need to ensure that we have a stable, known source of revenue as we build our budget every year to continue to move our capital city forward. And so our funding is simple. Our funding request is simple. Take the funding that we get for the Empire State Plaza, 19A, and under the New York Public Lands Law, create a set dollar amount. We're proposing $35 million as what is payable to the city of Albany for us to be able to make sure that the roads are plowed for state workers who do still come to work. We want more of them coming to work, but that our streets and sidewalks are safe, that our firefighters are there to assist if somebody has a health emergency, that the police department is there to assist if there is an issue, so that we can provide those essential city services in the capital city, and then tie that to a rate that will grow. We can't have 20% of our budget not grow every year. And so that is what we are proposing. We think it's a straightforward plan. We think that it is something that would be supported by the legislature, by legislators from all over the state. They tell me all the time that they can't believe how unfairly Albany is treated. And so there is a desire to fix this, and this is the year to fix it. This $35 million, just to be clear, represents a 0.5% of the value of the state's property in the city of Albany. We can do this. And I hope that the council will join me in doing all that we can, and I look to our workforce to also help me. We've had tremendous support from our unions to advocate for this. This is a year to pull out the stops and make this happen. So that is our budget. I know that there are challenges that we may face ahead. This budget is the result of a tremendous amount of hard work. When I came into office, we had spent our entire fund balance. We did not know if we were going to be able to balance our budget, and we worked together, and we were smart about what we invested in, and we tightened our belt, and we did more with less, and we created tremendous, tremendous new assets for our city, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of this workforce because it would not have happened without the hard work of the people in this room and some of the people who came before you, really working hard to put us on the right track. And so we also do have to be mindful of the fact that while we have faced challenges, we've been led through those challenges by our budget director, Gideon Grande, and our Commissioner of Administrative Services, Anne Marie Salmon, our deputy budget director, Kate Fitzpatrick, and our chief financial manager, Joel Stetson. It took them months to put this budget together. And when I think about what we've been able to achieve, I'm very proud of that work and the hard work that goes into building this budget and really planning for the future of our city every year. You know, we did build this fiscally sustainable future, though, with tremendous help. I don't think we would be where we are today without the help of President Biden's and Vice President Harris's American Rescue Plan, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act. Had there not been a pandemic, we would have moved forward as well, but we did have a pandemic, and it was unprecedented. And we knew we were going to need help to build back. And in 2020, we were told we were not going to get that help. And so it is important to remember that the future of the city of Albany and cities like Albany across the country are on the ballot this year. And I drive that point home not to be ultra political, but to just say it is a fiscal reality that when we are able to partner with a president and talk about America's workforce, this is America's workforce out there working for the American people every day, we can accomplish great things. And so who sits in the White House matters for the pothole on your street, for that sidewalk that you want to get repaired, or for us to be able to actually finally solve this mental health crisis that we're experiencing in our country. So with that, I look forward to working with our Common Council, with the residents of the City of Albany. There will be meetings over the course of the next several weeks where each of our departments will come in and answer questions. I encourage people, be involved, help us move things forward, bring your great ideas, because we all are in this together. This is Albany for All, powered by pride and potential, and this budget is designed to help continue to move us forward. Thank you all. And I can take questions from the media on the budget. Yep.
Mayor, should we expect to hear anything this year about a potential future transfer station with the closure of the landfill in the future?
So yes, we have issued an RFP for a transfer station. There is funding in the capital plan for this, so it does anticipate that we will need to move forward potentially with some property purchases, but we're going to see what we get in response. You know, we put that out a number of years ago, and I was actually somewhat encouraged by the responses that we received with respect to the total final cost to the City of Albany. Of course, then we extended the life of the landfill, which was a good thing, but we'll see where that RFP comes in. But we do anticipate moving forward with having to create the plan in 2025 to execute in 26, 27.
Can you talk a little bit, a little clarification, the Lincoln Towers that are going to come down, did you say they're coming down this year?
Well, our goal is to have them come down this year. We did receive a grant through Senator Gillibrand that is going to allow the Housing Authority to do the abatement work that needs to happen. There is asbestos in those buildings. There's abatement that needs to happen. So to move forward with that work while we're also trying to secure the funding to then ultimately take them down. I think that the total price tag for that is supposedly $6 to $7 million. So, but with the funding that we have from Senator Gillibrand, our expectation is that the Housing Authority, we're just a pass-through on that. The Housing Authority would start that project imminently and start the abatement as they seek funding to actually take them down.
And when it comes to hiring more non-sworn civilians to take on administrative tasks within the police department, is that something you see the city doing more of in the future, or is this the limit at 5?
I think that we anticipate potentially doing more of that in the future. We are speaking with a consultant about coming in and doing an evaluation of our police department so that we can get a professional outside perspective based on what other police departments are doing to really move forward in a new reality where fewer and fewer people are seeking to enter the profession. And so we have to be proactive now so that we can understand how we can maximize the use of our sworn police officers and not burn them out, not continue to have people working, significant amounts of overtime, which really impacts their quality of life, which then impacts the willingness of people to sign up for the job. So we're going to be looking at those opportunities. I was with mayors from around the country just last week at a Mayors Against Illegal Guns conference, and it was staggering the percentage of officers that most cities are down. And so we're all struggling with this issue, and we're going to have to get creative about it.
I may have missed it. Did you mention funding for the police review board?
So that is built into this budget. It is consistent with what is in the legislation.
Building off of that question, has the city determined where they're going to be housed now that they're becoming a city department?
We're narrowing it down. So we have a lot of moving parts. When you start to break things, you have to then figure out where you're going to put the people while you're breaking them. So as you experienced coming into City Hall, we're putting a new roof on this building, which is displacing a number of our offices, including those that are located on the 4th floor. So we had to find space for them. And our entire recreation department is located at Hoffman, and Hoffman is going to be really gutted and part of it demolished starting this year, we hope. And so we have to find a new location for them. And so we're looking at a number of options, and we'll definitely have a space for them. We understand what their needs are. We've been in meetings with Albany Law School about transferring files, about what that move is going to look like and what their space needs are going to be. The administrator who is administrating the Civilian Police Review Board at the law school has left the law school, so we are getting a civil service position approved, and we will be posting for that position as well. All right. Thank you, everyone.